What is going on? It's Rob, aka FlightSimToday, and today's video I'm going to show you something that, quite frankly, is pretty obvious when you stop and think about it. But recently, for you guys who are regulars on the stream, you will know that me and FlightSim Simon have had this debate on why the A320 mod, and quite frankly, most other parts of the aircraft that we have available are like rockets. They taxi too quick, they feel really slippery, like what is going on? And then in this video, we're going to show you the really simple and most stupid way we never even thought about at first to fix this, but to address the elephant in the room. And there have been a few comments where people think they are being clever and know it all, because no one does. And that simply is that, yes, currently you can pull through your sim brief, flight plan and weight and balance. Okay, so it imports the fuel and stuff into the McDo. However, that's all it does is import it into the McDo, not into the aircraft. And that's where we realized. So as always, please remember, hit that subscribe button. Do hit the like button, because that helps YouTube pump out this content to other people who will find this helpful in the same situation. So with that said, I'm going to let Simon actually explain everything in this video, and then we'll come back after and just to cover a few caveats.
Hey flight simmers, I hope everybody's well. Quick tutorial today, quite an important point, and I think 80% of the people I speak to don't do this, so I thought it'd be a really good little tutorial to help people. Weight and balance. Ask yourself the question, each flight you do as a simmer, do you set the weight and balance? If you don't, you'll have really fast taxi speeds. The aircraft will be out of control. You'll take off really quickly. You'll climb really fast. You're not even 500 feet off the ground and you're needing to put the flaps up and you're overspeeding. And all of this is because you're flying, in effect, an empty aircraft, though you think that it's full. You haven't set the passenger, you haven't set the center of gravity, and your aircraft is all over the place. So what I want to do today is go through a brief tutorial on how to set up the aircraft, and then we'll take off and we'll show you exactly what happens when you do it properly. We found this really beneficial lately to set this up properly, and the aircraft all of a sudden starts flying properly, and when you come into land, it lands properly as well. So let's jump in, and I'll get the aircraft set up and bring you back once we're ready to load in that information. See you shortly. Okay, so I've configured the aircraft. I'll put my flight plan in from SimBrief. So what we'll now do is look at the weight and balance. Now, most of you will typically know you'll use the right arrow key to go to the fuel predictions. We're not going to touch this right now. What we're going to do is go to the Microsoft Flight Simulator fuel weight and balance screen, which is here, which you may have seen before. Now, the next thing you're going to need is your flight plan. A couple of bits of information you're going to need. If we look at here, we're going to see how much fuel we need, which on this particular flight is 5.5 in terms of kilos. We can see that our maximum takeoff weight is 78000, but our estimated is 64214. Zero fuel weight is 58792. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that information now. So we can just lose that for a second. Now, if you look at the bottom, your current takeoff weight is set at 55712. So you're far too light. Hence why you zoom around when you're taxiing like a rally driver and you take off like a rocket. So what we need to do is come to the payload slider and drag that till we get to approximately 64,200. Now you will have a centre of gravity issue, and I'll show you how to fix that in a minute. So let's just move that up. We're at 61, 64.0, just try 55. That'll do us, 64,385. Now our centre of gravity is out. That's because the way Microsoft Flight Simulator does this is just simply equal out all of this. So we're going to take 1,000 off our baggage at the front. Let's make that 3. And we're going to add that onto our at the back, so we'll make that 5. Now our centre of gravity is fine. We'll make a note of the centre of gravity, which is 2185. And we can now, just making sure our fuel is right, at 5.5 it is, we can close this. On this screen now, you can double click the top. And it shows now your zero fuel weight is 58.9. And your centre of gravity is 21.9, which is correct now. And our block fuel is 5.5. We've now got the correct rate and the correct centre of gravity balance on here. And you'll find that the fuel is used properly, you take off properly, you taxi properly. Okay, so what we're going to do now is have a look at the performance calculation. Now, I'll pop a link for this in the description. We're going to select an A320 with CFM in metric. We're going to put our ICAO of our takeoff airport. Today will be Birmingham. I'm going to load in the latest weather. It'll be a flaps 1 takeoff with the packs on. Anti-ice will be off and the runway is dry. I'm going to put in that takeoff weight, which we've mentioned before, and also our centre of gravity, which was 21.85. We can now see that we are 1.4 up on our stabilisation trim. Runway will be runway 33, and we will hit calculate. We could see that our flex temperature is 61 and our takeoff speeds are 149 across V1, VR, V2. So going back to our McDo. Okay, so we're now going to load in all of the information from the performance calculator. Now to speed up the video, I've already done this, but we know that our flex to temp is 61. Our flaps and our trim setting is flaps 1 up with 1.4 set on our trim wheel, and we know our V speeds were 149 all the way down, so that we're set. Okay, that's the performance calculation done, the weight and balance done. So join me back in just a moment when we're ready to taxi, and I'll show you how this thing now taxis compared. See you in just a minute. Okay, welcome back. So we're been pushed, we're ready to go, and what I'd like to show you now is the behaviour of how the aircraft will taxi now that you've set the weight right. So without further ado, we will go parking brake off, and this time just give it a little ounce of energy to get it moving, and then we'll idle down. And what we're interested in today is our ground speed. Now normally you would be struggling to keep this below 30. In terms of this airport, your straight line taxi maximum speed is 30, your turning speed is 10, unless you're taxiing on a runway when your limit is 50. But now you'll see we're taxiing really calm, really slowly, we're not racing off. And that's because your aircraft is weighted now. It's actually recognising in the sim that you've got 180 passengers and all their baggage on board, so it's going to behave differently. When we take off, you're going to find it goes a lot further down the runway before you can lift off, which is realistic. So you join us as we're just taxiing onto runway 33 at Birmingham, and we'll just line up. And I think we're ready. So we will just do a rolling start. So we'll put the throttle detent into flex now. And you'll see with flex temperature 61 with SRS runway. But you'll notice it's taken us a little bit more time now to get up to speed. We're normally in the air by now. So up to 100 knots. 120. 140 and 3-1 rotate. Okay, and away goes our gear. And there we go, a really nice takeoff, which with the right weight and balance didn't race down the runway, and it all worked perfectly well. So hopefully that's helped you with your weight and balance setting and also your performance setting on how to take off. If you found that useful, please do like the video and also please do subscribe. Apart from that, we will look forward to seeing you on the next. Thank you and take care. See you later. Bye-bye.
So yeah, there you have it. It is really that simple, and it really does make a huge difference to the aircraft. Now, a few things to again point out here is that we are using SimBrief. Most of you know what this is, but where the actual flight plan, which you can see on the screen now, is that's a SimBrief generated flight plan. If you don't know where that is, there's a link in the description where you can go and use SimBrief. Trust me, once you start using it, you will never not use it. And also, the actual fuel and payload screen that you see behind, in that video, you do see the center of gravity sort of diagram on the right hand side of the sliders. Now, not everyone has that showing by default, so bear that in mind when you first open this menu. All you simply do is just drag that pop-up menu to the right, drag the screen wider or drag the menu wider, and this will appear on the right hand side. So as you see, basically right behind this where it says fuel, you've got this aircraft. Not a great screenshot, but obviously you've seen it in the video. You can see the aircraft behind. You literally drag this sidebar out and it will show. So that is simple. But with that said, like I say, please hit the subscribe button. Please do hit the like button. And then also come over to the Discord server if you have any other questions, because you will find us hanging out in there all the time. We've got basically real world pilots in there, VATSIM controllers, you name it. Knowledge bank is in there to ask your question. But as always, stay safe, take care, and we'll talk soon.